Well, welcome back to the channel. I listened to you. A few of you guys on my video I did on my converter, I had two converters go bad. So what I did was I did some research and I decided I'm gonna go dual battery. I've had my fifth wheel for a while, and I must say, finding a dual battery for a fifth wheel setup is kind of hard. Typically you'll see that you have to buy two battery boxes and basically like combine them together, but I wanted something where both batteries are in the same box, and this is what this is. So another thing I like about this is I normally run my Bi-Air off of my battery on my RV, so this actually has connections now, so I don't have to undo my battery every time. So we're going to open this bad boy up, and then I'm going to show you guys an install. It should be pretty easy. It looks like it's kind of plug and play with what I already have, because I only have a single battery box, and this one's vented just like that one, so it should be pretty self-explanatory. Alright, so let's open this bad boy up. So I have my knife, and just gonna see how this is gonna all come out. And on this side, and that should do the trick. So here it is. This looks to be the bottom of the battery box, and you kind of can see that it has a indentation for this hole here. I don't know if this will line up with my RV because of the size of this box, but hopefully everything works out when we go outside. But this is the bottom. Not that deep too, which I kind of like, so you don't have to lift your battery so high. And then this looks to be the top with a bunch of stuff. This looks to be some adhesive, like a phone tape. Gives you some directions, and looks like some brackets to tie down the venting. And I don't need to use this stuff just because I already have something installed, but if it doesn't work, I'll wind up using this. And that's pretty much it. And as I mentioned, now once I go to bolt this down, they give you some connections here. Looks like you have to, I may have to go buy some extra wires. I do have some wires for the dual battery setup, but I need to buy additional wires for this. I'm surprised they don't at least give it as an option in here. I mean, you would think that they would already go ahead and give it to you, but unfortunately they don't. But that's pretty much what it looks like. Pretty easy stuff. And like I said, once I get those connections, I will never have to undo this battery box. So this would be pretty cool once it's all said and done. But there you have it. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy installed. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and check out what we got. I just cleaned out this space here. I'm gonna probably wipe this down a little bit better. But for the most part, this battery box, there's already a hole down below for the battery box. And what I want to do is I'm going to try to reuse all of this stuff because everything's already done. So I don't have to basically go in here and redo all this. And then, yeah, it'll save me some time if I don't have to. But like I said, when I want to go to hook up my Bi-Air, I don't have to keep unbolting this to do so. Actually, I'll be honest, I haven't really been unbolting it. I've just been, putting this on here with like some pressure, or with some, I had some clamps. I lost them though. I think I used them for something else, but I was putting some clamps on each end of this just so I don't have to keep unbolting it. So having those connections on the outside will make this a lot better. So let me go ahead and get this out of here. I gotta go ahead and unplug, and I have to do my battery disconnect, so don't forget to do those things, okay? It's the next day, and I went on ahead and unhooked the battery that I had connected, and so we're gonna go ahead and pretty much install the battery box. I did test fit the battery box in the same spot with the hole that's in the basement area. Unfortunately, it was like lopsided, so I'm gonna have to drill another hole. So I bought a tool from Lowe's, and I'm just gonna go ahead and cut a hole, and I'll have the battery box fitting perfectly, and it won't be so lopsided. So just really quickly, I want to show you guys some things. Now these studs on the batteries, these are 5/16 of an inch, okay? So what you have to do is you have to, of course, put your negative to the negative. So you're gonna have to buy like these connectors like this. You're gonna have to buy this to be 5/16 of an inch. Okay, and then for the positive side, you have to hook it up this way. I did check online to make sure that it was okay for these wires to be, you know, touching like this. I mean, granted, I know that they're protected, but I didn't know if it would cause any type of interference. So it is okay for them to kind of be in this position. I had them like this originally, but I figured, you know, like I said, it didn't matter if they were, you know, overlapping each other. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what I have to do next. So when I go outside, like I said, I'll cut the hole. I'm going to turn the battery box long ways, that way I have a little bit more space on the side of it. And when I go to hook up the battery, what I have to do is, since I'm running this system parallel, I don't want to create 24 volts. So we want to stay at 12 volts. So I'm going to connect the negative connections from the RV, which would be for the ground, and the power running from the RV, I'm going to connect it to the positive side. That's going to give me 12 volts, and that's going to increase my amp hours. So all in all, the batteries fit perfectly. This is a really nice battery box, and I strongly recommend, if you are in the market and you have a fifth wheel, if you're only using one battery, it's just a good idea to have two, just in case you need that extra juice if you're staying off grid. I'll be sure to put in a video where I got these cables from, but I mean, you go on Amazon, you can find just about anything. And what I'll do is just kind of explain to you, these are 1 feet long, and then I bought 2 feet long wires for the battery box. Now, as you guys saw, I do have a connection on the outside of the battery where I can run my Viair system or anything. If I need to jump somebody's truck or something like that, I have the option to not have to unbolt this battery box like I did in the past. And the reason why I like that is because obviously you do know you have to vent this because of the fumes that these put out, and this is going to help with that solution. Now, these are going to be 3/8 of an inch for the battery box, so you have to be sure to pick 3/8 of an inch for these cables. As I mentioned, these are 5/16 of an inch. I don't know why the manufacturer of this, Camco, went with a different stud on the battery box, but they did. But let's go ahead and get this done. I'm probably gonna run out of some sunlight here in a little bit, and I don't have any power to my RV, so there's no lights inside of here. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this all installed. I first have to cut the hole, and then from there, like I said, we'll just go ahead and install this in there, and we'll be back in business. Alright, so here is the finished product. So I just unbolted it. I put bolts just pretty much in various spots around the box, and I have everything already connected here. And as you guys see, so the connections I have for the battery box, these are 2 feet long, and maybe 30 inches or maybe even 3 feet might be better. That way you just have a little bit more like leeway. But everything is working perfect. Like as I mentioned, inside you have your negative connection from the RV on one battery, and then the other connections on the other battery. So that gives you just more amp hours. It is more time to camp if you are staying off the grid. But love the battery box. Everything's perfect. As I showed you guys these connections here, I've used it a few times, and it's just so much easier just keeping this all bolted down, and it fits perfectly. As I said too, I did wind up having to drill a different hole because the battery box was too long and it was just lopsided inside of here, and just moving it over a little bit solved the problem. I still have room inside of here for, you know, a lot more stuff too. So even though this is a bigger battery box, because I am running it long ways, I still have a lot of space inside of here. But let's go ahead and take a look at how much all this stuff costs and all the extra things I had to purchase. This is the battery box that you just saw in the video. It is through Camco, and it was vented, and it is for Group 24 batteries. I did not mention that in the video. I cannot remember what I purchased it for, but it was probably at this price point, $68.35, free shipping on Amazon. And for the most part, I think it's a pretty good price. I mean, you get a lot of things included with it too. So
for anyone that has a trailer that does not have a battery setup and they want to put the batteries inside the trailer, this vented box is perfect for you. The next thing that I purchased was the 2 AWG gauge wire. AWG stands for American Wire Gauge, and it came with a positive and a negative, but this was only 12 inches, and as I mentioned, the connection for 5/16, okay, or they call it 5/16 inch lugs. Now you can get 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, but if you are purchasing this, keep in mind you do need a different lug size if you are wanting to connect the battery box to your battery so you don't have to unbolt it, which leads me into the next purchase. The connection for the battery box to the battery so you don't have to unbolt the battery box, I did buy these from a different manufacturer, is through Cartman, and these were 24 inches. So one thing I would recommend, as I said in the video, I would go with maybe 36 inches, 3 feet, or even maybe 2.5 feet. Honestly, I think that would be just enough. I feel like it will give you just enough like slack, I guess, to get the battery, like if you need to add water or anything like that, they'll just give you a little bit more room to work with. But for the most part, these were $11.99. I don't know if I told you the price of these, but these were $15.12. High quality cables too, so don't think that, you know, because these aren't really a name that you don't see a lot of. I feel like they did a pretty good job with the overall design, and you know, they use copper wire, everything's insulated, everything's crimped well, so I think that you can't go wrong with either one of these battery cables. But on that note, I hope this was helpful. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys soon.